I honestly can't believe I'm going to do another Flat Earth episode. But somebody at the day job, a coworker, asked me if I've done a Flat Earth video. Told him I had, and he didn't really say whether he was a believer in the Flat Earth or just asking me in general. But since the algorithm for TikTok and Reels pretty much has me pegged, I see a ton of Flat Earth videos along with all the ghost videos that I see. So I see enough interesting ones that we may as well cover it one more time. So let us kick things off, shall we?
At this point, this is actually so much more believable than what NASA puts out, guys. I'd actually buy this over their CGI Photoshop Blue Marble.
I love the fact that they always call everything from space CGI. The Blue Marble picture being one, which was from, I believe, 1972 or 1970. And that was, by my count, about 30 years, maybe 25 years before the advent of CGI. We could even go 20 years if you prefer, just to be safe. But still, a couple decades at least before CGI became prevalent. But the flat earthers still insist that everything NASA shows, and other space agencies for that matter, the first one actually came from a cosmonaut in the late 1950s. Was that CGI too? Was Russia in cahoots with that? We'll get to that here in just a little bit.
The fakery that they've used, all the CGI, all the harnesses and all that stuff, this is more believable than NASA. Do you guys believe what NASA tells you? Let me know in the comments down below.
Okay, so if you're unaware, if you're watching this for the first time and have no clue really what most flat earthers think, they think we live in that central area there in the middle. We are a flat land surrounded by an impenetrable ice wall. Keep that phrase impenetrable in mind as I continue. And outside of that ice wall are a whole bunch of other inhabited, allegedly, lands. If it's impenetrable, then how do we know there's other lands and other people outside of that ice wall? If we can't go through it or go over it, then where's the proof of that? You don't really have any, do you? But that's not the only thing that they claim that keeps us from going into space. Let us watch the next video as well.
The Earth is flat, stationary, and enclosed by a glass dome known as the firmament, which
You're going to hear the word firmament a lot on this video, and we'll cover it as we move forward.
contains the sun, moon, and stars, all of which move, not the Earth. Above and below are waters. This isn't a conspiracy. If satellites were really in space, why would we need communication towers in the middle of the ocean?
Okay, I'm going to cover that part before we circle back to the firmament. That kind of debunks it right there when they say, why do we need the towers and the satellites? Because there's this little thing called line of sight that is sort of important on a globe. Because with the curvature of the Earth, and you send out any sort of message, whether it's a video message, a digital video message, an audio message, a radio message, any sort of message you send out that's not hardline, not through a wire, it can only go in a straight line. So if you send it out, say to somebody in, for example, China, from here in the United States, it's just going to go out into space if it doesn't have a way of redirecting. So we have satellites where your message goes up to the satellite and then shoots down to the tower closest to the person you're trying to contact or send the message to. In China, and then they get your message. See, if it went in a straight line on your alleged flat Earth, we wouldn't need those towers and satellites. But we do because of line of sight, because of the curvature of the Earth. That should be proof. That should be all the proof you need, but you don't buy it.
A compass only functions properly on a flat surface to differentiate between north, east, south, and west. Water always stays level and contained, with the Arctic Circle and Antarctica acting as barriers that hold the oceans in.
So they're claiming that the North Pole and the South Pole, or the Arctic Circle and the Antarctic Circle, hold in all the water within our globe. They just seem to gloss over the fact that gravity is what holds the water in, and it also is what holds us in. But continue.
The solid glass dome, or firmament, keeps the air inside, creating a sealed, airtight environment.
Okay, now the firmament, as they claim, which they got from the Bible, and the sun and the moon and the stars, according to them, are all within this impenetrable dome, the firmament. And one thing they seem to omit all the time is the sun is round, the moon is round inside the firmament, but we live on a flat earth. Doesn't make much sense. But going back to the holding in all the air, there's what, about 4 billion, I think, people on the earth now? You would think after all these years, if we did live in an enclosed structure, the air would probably start getting pretty thin right about now. Because I'm assuming that these same people don't believe that in photosynthesis either. But maybe I'm wrong.
The Earth doesn't spin at millions of miles per hour like a ball. The sounds of thunder booms are produced when solid objects shift. Even world leaders know this truth, as shown by the flat Earth map on the UN logo.
I'm only going to say this very quickly. It's flat for the UN logo to show all the nations of the world that are in the UN, because you can't do it with a globe. Simple.
Once again, it's the sun, moon, and stars that rotate from east to west, not the Earth. The people who taught you that the Earth is a globe are fully aware of and believe in the flat, enclosed system we all live in, and that no one can leave. One of the
Okay, so what they're basically telling you is when you're in second grade and you're learning about the Earth and the moon and the stars for the very first time, maybe even before that, your little second grade teacher in your tiny little elementary school in whatever town America you grew up in is part of this giant cabal from this minor little second grade school teacher to the richest barons of industry are all keeping this mega secret from all of us that we live on a flat earth. You would think that that would be millions upon millions of people. Somebody would speak up about this cabal, but nobody has. You know why? Because we don't live on a flat earth. What they're telling you is actually true.
strongest proofs for a flat Earth is this. We're told that we're spinning at 1,000 miles per hour, orbiting the sun in the heliocentric model at 66,600 miles per hour. On top of that, we're supposedly chasing the sun through space at nearly 500,000 miles per hour. According to this model, we're spiraling through an infinite universe, never in the same place twice. Now consider the Georgia Guidestones, which had a small hole drilled through one of the central stones.
They kind of gloss over the fact that the Earth moves, the solar system moves, the galaxy moves, all somewhat in unison, even though some move at different speeds. But he's going to tell you that we don't because of, well, let him tell you.
If you looked through that hole, you would always see Polaris, the North Star. But how could we be moving in so many directions, traveling vast distances, and yet that star remains perfectly aligned in the hole?
Because that star also moves as well as the rest of the universe. Somebody did some very ingenious engineering to figure that out. And you're just going to poo poo it by saying, nope, we see it because the earth is flat and everything is stationary. Which one sounds more crazy?
It should shift out of sight constantly, yet it stayed in place for 40 years, until one day, someone blew up the monument.
And I suppose somebody blew it up because it was proven to everybody that we live on a flat earth. No, that's not exact. Do some research on why it got destroyed. You'll see why.
They say Earth spins eastward at 1,600 kilometers per hour at the equator. So, here's a question. How does a plane flying eastward at just 800 kilometers per hour reach its destination? Shouldn't the ground be moving too fast for the plane to catch up? And what about landing? Imagine trying to land a plane safely on a runway that's supposedly zipping along at 1,600 kilometers per hour.
Again, one word: gravity. Think about it.
Sounds risky, doesn't it? The official explanation is that Earth's atmosphere is stuck to the planet, held by gravity, despite the vacuum of space above it. But think about this. If Earth were a spinning ball, pilots would constantly need to adjust for the curve.
Which they do. If you pay attention to a flight plan, it's never the straight line that you all think it is. There's a reason why, if someone's going, say, from New York to Moscow, they have to sort of arch up around Greenland. People think that it's some grand conspiracy that they do that, but it's not. It's from the curvature of the Earth.
At 800 kilometers per hour, a plane would have to lower its nose by around 850 meters per minute to stay on course with Earth's curvature. Otherwise, it would be flying higher and higher, reaching about 50,000 meters in just an hour. Yet pilots don't make these constant adjustments.
They don't? It's funny. Ask any pilot and they would tell you they do.
Once they reach cruising altitude, they level off and maintain a steady course until it's time to descend. No constant corrections for Earth's curve, just a straight, level flight path. Doesn't that raise questions? If Earth were really spinning and curving, wouldn't we see constant course corrections? But we don't. It's a compelling clue that maybe things aren't what we've been taught. What do you think?
I think you are completely out of your gourd because, yes, they do make course corrections almost all the time. And you just deem it as impossible. So you think that because it's impossible to your brain, then it's impossible altogether. But you know what? People out there might need some actual proof, which I'm sure I'm going to show some of you, and you're going to think that it's fake and CGI, but it's not. It was actually filmed on the International Space Station, and guess what it shows you? It shows you the dome. No, it doesn't show you the dome. It shows you the flat Earth. No, it doesn't show you the flat Earth. It shows you that you live on a round ball. Let's take a look, shall we? Huh, what's that? That sure looks like a round ball to me. I could be wrong, but no, it kind of looks like Earth, doesn't it? Where is this firmament? Where is the other lands outside of the ice wall? That looks like a pretty round ball that we're living on. But I honestly, some of you watching this probably think this is entirely made up and it's nothing new. But I'm telling you, it's video shot from the International Space Station, as you can kind of see. And there is your curvature that you all refuse to believe. So there you have it, folks. Another episode of Flat Earth something or other. There's really no point in arguing with flat earthers because no matter how much proof you can show them, like I have here for the past 15 minutes, they're still not going to believe it because their minds are made up. But I simply ask you all, and all of a sudden I turned into Jerry Springer with my final thought. And this is my final thought. Keep an open mind. Everything that you were taught when you were growing up wasn't some grand conspiracy to keep you stupid. Sometimes the things you learned when you were a kid are actually what they appear to be. And there isn't a grand cabal. And honestly, what would be the point of people not letting us know that we live on a flat earth? I don't understand that one. And I'm somebody that likes fringy things, but I just can't quite get in to the flat earth. But hey, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. And remember, nothing good ever happens until after dark.